You want to support Roller March Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.
Big developments in the case of Ahmaud Arbery, the black man shot and killed February 23rd by two white men as he was jogging down the street. First, the Georgia Attorney General has called on the Department of Justice to come in and investigate the district attorneys who were involved in this case. The initial DA, Janice Johnson, recused herself. Cops, though, in Glenn County Police Department say they wanted to arrest the two men involved, but she said no. The second prosecutor, George Barnhill, he absolved these two men, George McMichael, Travis McMichael, of the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, and then recused himself. And the third prosecutor took forever trying to make a decision before the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They were called in and made an arrest within the first 36 hours. That's one issue. The second issue, that is, a special prosecutor has now been appointed in this case, a black woman from Cobb County who was a Republican appointee of Governor Brian Kemp. Also, over the weekend, this video was released showing Ahmaud Arbery inside of the home that was under construction. Oh, people on the right, conservatives, white folks, and white folks who think like black people who think like Candace Owens, raced and said, "Oh, here you go, Ahmaud Arbery. He wasn't jogging." They were saying that this is just like hands up, don't shoot. Well, the owner of that home said nothing was stolen. And all of a sudden, a bunch of people on social media, black, white, Latino, Asian, said, "I've gone to look at houses like this before. What's the big deal?" Okay, guys, we have the video rolling. So go ahead. All these things. Case. I want to bring in my legal panel right now. A. Scott Bolden, former National Bar Association Political Action Committee, Deep Day, Robert Patillo, civil rights attorney. All right, Robert, I'm going to go to you. So a lot of things happened, Robert, in the last 48 hours there in Georgia.
Well, one of the interesting things about what you were just saying, that you have a lot of these conservative online bloggers with absolutely no legal experience or knowledge who are putting out disinformation about the liability and the ability to assert self-defense and or a citizen's arrest in Georgia. Understand one thing. We have a lot of case law in this state. You have Patel v. State, you have Brunson v. State, you have Carter v. State, which lay out when an individual can assert a claim of citizen's arrest, and none of it involves pulling a gun on somebody, chasing them with a pickup truck, surrounding them with three people, and then shooting them. With regards to self-defense, as has been thrown out there as an option for justification as to why this individual was shot. You cannot assert a claim of self-defense when you provoke the action. When you approach somebody with a gun drawn, with a shotgun, that person then has the right to defend themselves against you. There is no claim of self-defense. You have committed a felony yourself by pointing a shotgun at them of aggravated assault, and you lose all claims of self-defense. Anybody who's a Second Amendment advocate or a gun owner knows that you cannot brandish a weapon at somebody in a threatening manner. That is a felony charge in this state. So it's ridiculous the way they're trying to muddy the waters and sully what is going on. At most, Mr. Arbery was guilty of trespassing. And me and my wife, when we were building our house, we went through the neighborhood and we went through houses just like that to see what they were building inside of our houses. So I don't think that anyone can justify that being the basis for killing an individual. And if the facts were changed, if this wasn't a 25-year-old black man, if it was a 80-year-old white woman or a 20-year-old white cheerleader or something, and two rednecks had chased her down and shot her, I don't think we'd be having this argument.
Yodit Tuwelde. Again, all of a sudden, the Georgia AG wants DOJ to investigate these DAs for wrongdoing. You now, of course, have this video of people say, "Oh, here you go. Why is he in khaki shorts and Timberlands jogging?" Hell, you got people who jog in combat boots.
This is the part where they're going to try and make out this career criminal, that he was doing something wrong. And what we're doing is feeding into that, and we shouldn't. I don't care what he was doing on that property. At the end of the day, the McMichaels didn't see him commit a crime. That is the point. They said that Barnhill, that is, a second DA who recused himself, said that they were well within their rights to detain him, or at least try to detain Ahmaud, under the citizen's arrest law. And that's just incorrect. They can't believe or try and detain Ahmaud based on a belief, based on what they think they know. They didn't actually see him commit a crime, therefore the citizen's arrest law was not appropriate at the time. So while we sit here and argue about what he was doing, whether it's a normal thing to go through a property under construction or not, we have to keep focused on what the law is and what we know as facts. Right now, that just wasn't appropriate, and it would have been an illegal arrest, and therefore they can't now cry self-defense because they were approaching him when they shouldn't have.
Scott Bolden, I want to bring you in here again. When you look at these things that are coming out, the homeowner says nothing was stolen, and then all these people. I mean, I've had white conservatives, black folks, others who say I've often gone into homes under construction, taking a look around, and people are saying, this happens all the time.
Your deed is completely correct. I mean, it's all irrelevant. It's ridiculous and irrelevant. The video actually helps the prosecution, because whatever the defense is going to be about their right to stop and their right for reasonableness just goes completely out the window. So what? And by the way, one thing we have not talked about is Tennessee v. Garner. I know my colleagues know that case, because I've written about it, that even the police cannot shoot a non-violent fleeing felon who is running from them, even if he was committing a felony. Here, he's not committing any crime. He's looking around. If he was trespassing, the only person that could stop him and file charges against him for trespassing isn't the defendant, isn't the arrestees, but the owner of the property. And they weren't around, and nothing was stolen. And so we have to keep perspective, as my colleagues have said here. This will be part of the defense, but that dog won't hunt, and it'll be highly insufficient or completely insufficient of a defense. You got a good judge, a former judge rather. I think Robert talked about this judge in Cobb County, or rather this prosecutor in Cobb County. She's a conservative, but that's okay. That means if she's a judge and she's a politically conservative, she's going to play it by the book. And if you play it by the book here, the only thing that matters is, do you have the elements for felony murder and aggravated assault here? You have that. This case is going to go to a jury, or it's going to be a plea, because nothing else really matters but the facts. And you've got two videos that tell the whole story.
This is also, of course, when you look at the calling in of the DOJ to investigate. I think that is obviously it's important. I'm not confident at all, though, Robert, in this Department of Justice when it comes to this issue. But something does stink when you have police officers saying they wanted to arrest these two men on the spot. Janice Johnson said no. The second DA weighs in, pretty much acts as the defense attorney for these two men, but then recuses himself. And the third attorney, I don't know what the hell he was doing for several weeks. It took the Georgia Bureau of Investigation literally 36 hours to come in and then do an arrest. This guy only announced after the video leaked, oh, I'm going to take it to a grand jury.
The DOJ investigation, not just look into the prosecutors, but they should look into the hate crimes elements with regard to particularly 18 USC 241, 242, and 249, because what we've seen throughout the South historically is the inability of local prosecutors to convict white defendants for killing black people in the South. You go all the way back to Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner. You can go to Kenneth Walker. You can go through police shootings throughout the South. So you have to have that federal backstop there, both to investigate the deeds of these previous prosecutors, but also to ensure that if there is an acquittal, or if there is no indictment in this case, because remember, you still have to have the grand jury with the Atlantic Judicial Circuit. We want to make sure you have as many bites of the apple from impartial and unbiased bodies to get a conviction. With regards to the Cobb County prosecutor who was appointed to be the special prosecutor in the case, we do need to keep an eye on this, because one, she is politically conservative. Two, she's only been on the job about a year. She's up for re-election this year, and so there's no guarantee that she will even be the prosecutor on the case if she does not win re-election. There are more experienced Black prosecutors in the state, people like Sherry Boston in DeKalb County, Darius Patillo down in Henry County, who I think much of the legal community would like to see prosecuting this case. Also, remember the Ross Harris case, the man whose son was left in the back of a hot car. That case was removed from Cobb County and tried down in Brunswick. And there is a question as to whether or not there are conflicts between the chief murder investigator in that Cobb County DA's office, having worked in Brunswick and lived in Brunswick for 3 months during that trial.
Deet, when we look at this whole deal here, I mean, it just boggles the mind that you could go through 3 DAs and none of them act until the video gets leaked and finally as an arrest in the Georgia Bureau investigation. I mean, they need to answer to themselves here. They are there to protect the public.
It's more than just removing these DAs from office. They actually need to be disbarred. This Barnhill guy, it's more shady than we actually know. And the AG in Georgia, Chris Carr, stated that there were things he didn't know when he appointed Barnhill, because the first DA, Jackie Johnson, recused herself. He had already been involved the day after the shooting. So he was involved before he was even appointed as a prosecutor. And not only that, the National Association of District Attorneys condemned him because he realized that he had a conflict of interest on April 2nd. On April 7th, he wrote a memo literally laying out why this killing was justified after he knew that he had a conflict of interest. How inappropriate, how beyond disgusting is that? This is someone who not only needs to be investigated, but his bar card needs to be in jeopardy.
Deep, what we call that memo was, what we call that memo, right? We call that memo leaving a defense for the defendants, even though he knew he was going to be out of the case. That he didn't have to write that memo at all. He voluntarily wrote that memo.
And Scott, to that point, I've never, ever seen a prosecutor write a memo that lays out completely every plausible defense, taints the jury pool in a way that will make it impossible to get a conviction at jurisdiction, and then have another conflict they do not disclose at the beginning of the case. Is completely outside the realm of any possibility.
He created this paper trail for the good old boys, as we say. He created the paper trail.
Wait, hold on. Deet, then Scott. Deet, go ahead.
Okay.
What I was just going to say is I mean, he's not only making it difficult for the next prosecutor to try this case, but he's potentially tainting a jury pool. Hearing all of the defenses for the defense, and to put that in a memo format that was made public for anybody to read, it's disgusting. He needs to be removed and his bar license needs to be taken, period.
Right. It was done purposefully. It really was. I mean, there's no accident when you do that, because prosecutors don't have to put everything in writing. But the uneven justice system in Georgia has to be looked at. I think Robert's right about this. This is a broader issue. When I was researching the updates on this case, there's a case in the AJC, the Journal-Constitution, about Shannon Brown. A former NBA player, won a couple rings, lives in Fayetteville, Georgia. Now, his house is up for sale, and 2 people came to see the house. Apparently, there was some dispute. He got his rifle and fired a shot, didn't hit anybody. 4 to 6 hours later, the couple who came to the house reported him to the police. He was arrested hours later and recently released to go back to his home. He didn't kill anybody. He was defending his property. And he was arrested within hours of them reporting it, and they delayed the report. It's just completely uneven justice and enforcement in Georgia, and we've got to do something about it on a broad basis. Prosecutors have a lot of discretion, but it's got to be more even across the state of Georgia, I think.
Well, they can start by getting rid of that citizen's arrest law. I mean, it's
there's no question about it. It's worse than staying your ground.
Well,
We
remember,
already have
Rainbow
enough
Push
problems
sued
with
the state of
actual
Georgia
cops,
in
right?
2013 to try to repeal some of these laws. It's very difficult when you have a majority of one party, a constitutional majority in the House, the Senate, and all judicial agencies and the governor's mansion. But I think this might be the groundswell support that people need to get out there in November and replace many of these officials, because it is impossible to make the changes that are needed to have justice in the system as long as you have antiquated laws that go back to the Jim Crow past of the state.
Yeah, but you got to
All
elect
right, then.
blue Dems. You have to. You got to. The broader spectrum here is that this is a very red state. We know the corruption politically and civil rights, criminal justice system. But if black people vote in Georgia in numbers, we can change that red state to a blue state locally at the state level, where these crimes matter, and those who prosecute them matter, and then the governor's race. That ought to be a priority, because politically, these are Republican decision makers making these decisions, not Democrats.
But it's
All
not
right,
enough to just, like I said, it's not enough to just remove these people from office. These lawyers, these prosecutors need to stop practicing law, because they'll go somewhere else and practice and still do the same
You're
thing.
absolutely right. You're right. I couldn't disagree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I've been at this a long time, perhaps longer than my colleagues on this panel, but I've never seen anything like it. And there's a lot that goes on wrong in the courtroom all around this country. But this is like something from a bad movie.
That keeps happening.
All right.
Over and over again.
All right, folks.
Sorry, Roland, lawyers talk a lot.
Yeah, no kidding, really. I
Hey, he let us
Thanks
talk
a bunch.
this time. God bless you, Roland.
Yeah, because you finally had something to say. There you go. Yo, D, Robert Scott. See, if you're gonna open your mouth, I'm gonna hit you right back. All right, yo, D, Robert Scott. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Every single night, we've got some of the top black experts. You're not going to see them on cable news or broadcast news, because you swear black people aren't experts when it comes to this health crisis. That's why we have this show and why we do what we do every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Joining us right now is retired General Russell Honoré, the nation's first black Surgeon General, Dr. Joycelyn Elders. John Hope Bryant, he's the founder of Operation Hope. Senator Kamala Harris of California, Dr. Cedrina Calder, retired General Lloyd Austin, Congresswoman Karen Bass, Commissioner Omari Hardick, Bureau President in Brooklyn, Eric Adams, Dr. Joseph Graves, America's Wealth Coach, Deborah Owens, Dr. Corey Abear, Patal Saul, Howard University student, Pastor Jamal Bryant, Dr. Christy McDowell, Benja Ajilore, senior economist at the Center for American Progress, Gilda Daniels, again, author of the book, The Crisis of Voter Suppression in America. 4 stars, General Kip Ward, Dr. Oliver Brooks is president of the National Medical Association, president of the American Medical Association, Dr. Patrice Harris, Joby Benjamin, Dr. Alexia Gaffney, infectious disease specialist, Dr. Georges Benjamin, executive director of the American Public Health Association, Malcolm Nance, family medicine physician, Dr. Jen Caudle, Dr. Tashaka Cunningham, a molecular biologist, Kat Stafford. She's a national race and ethnicity reporter for the Associated Press. Dr. Wayne A.I. Frederick, who is the president of Howard University, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke from the state of New York, William Spriggs, AFL-CIO economist, Andrea James, executive director of the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. All right, let's go to Capitol Hill. Congressman Gregory Meeks, Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson of Texas, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, mental health clinician Jamie Singletary, Prince George's County State's Attorney Aisha Brayboy, as well as Dylan Hayrie, ACLU Justice Division strategist. Dr. Cindy Duke, she is a virologist. Principal Steve Perry of Capitol Prep. Health and wellness specialist Dr. Yolandra Hancock. Desmond Meade, president of the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. Cliff Albright, who is the co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Michael Harriet with the Root. The Mina McWhorter, founder of Love by the Hand. Dr. Julianne Malvo, economist president, Emerita Bennett College. Coroner Michael Fowler is the mayor of Atlanta. Keisha Lance Bottoms, mental health therapist Suzette Clark. Justin Gibney, attorney and political strategist, and Bishop Vincent Matthews Jr. Dr. Suzette McKinney, CEO and executive director of the Illinois Medical District. Dr. Leon Madugal, president-elect of the National Medical Association. Jana Bailey, mayor of Moss Point, Mississippi, Mario King. We're going to keep driving this thing to make sure our people are fully aware, safe, protected from coronavirus. You're getting the top medical experts, the top business experts, top political experts, top religious experts, because that's why we do what we do. Unapologetically and unfiltered. Ain't nobody else in the black media space doing what we do. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.